Hello and welcome to Unrecognised Heroes, the official podcast brought to you by the National AI and Cyber Awards. This is the podcast where we dive into the latest innovations, challenges, and success stories in the world of technology. I'm your host, Ellie, and today I'm really excited to be joined by Rebecca Taylor. Rebecca's work has taken her deep into the hidden corners of the internet, tracking cyber criminal activity and emerging threats. But also, Rebecca's hugely passionate about mentoring and helping the next generation of cybersecurity professionals thrive. Rebecca, welcome to the podcast.
Thank you so much. I'm genuinely delighted to be here.
I'm so pleased to have you. Let's start right at the beginning, I guess, because one of the things I love doing on the podcast is asking guests about their journey. So tell me, how did you get into cybersecurity, Rebecca?
Well, I've had quite a different career pathway. I wouldn't say it's necessarily been conventional. At heart, I am an English and creative writing student. I went to the University of Portsmouth. And so I was released into the wild as such, not really knowing where to go or what I wanted to be. I think at the time it was I wanted to be a teacher or a psychologist. So quite different, but lots of similarities actually to where I am now. And I was headhunted for a role at an organisation where the same one I work at now called SecureWorks, a Sophos company, and they were looking for a personal assistant. So I can't say I thought, oh, the dream, I cannot wait. But I did think, oh, this could be a chance to get into an industry where I could be something. And it was interesting, right? Cybersecurity was still quite new 11, 12 years ago. So I took the job and very, very quickly realized that it was what I'd hoped it would be. And it was a space where I could evolve and I could be someone and I could have a career. And in essence, I've just seized every moment since then, every moment to learn, all the on-the-job training opportunities, etc. So I've worked in operations, I've worked in incident command, and now I am a threat intelligence knowledge manager and a human intelligence researcher. So very lucky and very happy.
A mouthful, isn't it?
A mouthful of a role.
But I think that non-traditional route is great for people to hear and quite inspiring because quite often you get kind of the very linear career paths that you hear about and think that's how I should get into an industry. But actually, that's not always the case, which is what I find with a lot of guests I chat to, I suppose. But something you talk so passionately about is mentorship, and I suppose the role it's played in your career journey and the way that you now mentor others. So can we talk a little bit around that and what sparked your interest in mentoring?
I don't think I truly had an appreciation of mentorship until I started my career in cyber, where actually I've had some sensational mentors that have genuinely changed my life. A mentor is a sounding board. They're a safe space. They can help you figure things out that maybe you can't talk to your parents about or you can't talk to your partner about because they don't quite get it. So I've always had mentors, both internal and external. I'm a bit cheeky, so I tend to have multiple at the same time. And the purpose of that is so that I can get lots of different opinions, lots of different ideas, and actually benefit from their experiences and their networks. And so seeing the benefit I've had from that, I 100% wanted to give that back. So now I am quite comfortable and I'm happy to mentor other people in industry, whether that be them trying to get their footprint and trying to get a foot in the door into cyber, whether that be switchers, mums returning, that kind of vibe, or even just people that need a chat and someone that gets what comes with working in cybersecurity and needs somewhere to go and someone to talk to. I love being that person. And I think it's really important we all offer those safe spaces to have those kinds of conversations.
I think that's lovely. And actually, from meeting you from the very first time, I feel like you are a very natural mentor, a very natural connector, so warm. And I think that
Oh,
people really cherish that about you and
thank you.
so that's just from my personal standpoint. You are
It's
lovely.
difficult because you get so many, like, at least from my perspective, I get so many messages and I can't say no because I think it's so brave when you get a direct message, particularly on LinkedIn or something like that, especially when it's someone that just needs a chat and a bit of direction. I feel we all need to be offering that space. We talk about wanting diversity, we talk about wanting representation. So let's make spaces where we can do that in a really authentic and comfortable way.
That's
So
so
yeah, I'm a bit of a mentee hoarder. So forgive me, I mentor quite a lot of people, but I love it and I think it's really special.
I love that. And what through your mentoring, have you ever kind of encountered any challenges that you think, well, I'm not sure how to solve that, or, anything you've come up against?
I I get asked questions I don't know the answer to. And I think that is normal. It would be impossible for us all to know everything. But that is where mentoring is handy because you're like, I don't know the answer to that. And that is not my job. But I can look in my network and I can find somebody else who could help you with that. And that's how I find my purpose in that kind of situation. You do sometimes come across difficult questions when it's more to do with adversity, challenges, particularly with maybe people having issues with their managers, that kind of stuff. And that can be tricky because you feel for them. But that's again where you kind of need to know the line in the sand. And that's where you push them to talk to HR to get different kinds of support. But you can still be there to listen and to comfort and to help them get to the other side of that problem. So they're probably the main things I call out.
Yeah, I think sometimes it's nice to have that sounding board that's slightly external, that's non-biased, really, isn't it? To just bounce ideas off, and it's
Yeah,
really useful.
that doesn't have your organisational politics, as I suppose
Yes,
I'd describe it.
I like that a lot. I want to shift gears a little bit and talk about your work now because it's pretty fascinating. And I guess sometimes takes you to some quite intimidating places online. But where did that natural curiosity for the understanding, I guess, the hidden layers of the internet come from?
That's a really hard question because it's just kind of naturally grown. I would say I'm someone that's always loved to learn. I love to study, forgive me, and I love to explore. So being given this kind of opportunity to go in and dig and try and figure out what's happening and what are the interesting bits has served me well, sort of that level of curiosity. I would say also that another thing that makes me quite excited, and I suppose it ties back to what I said in the beginning, is I love humans and I love trying to be like, but why are you doing that? And why would you behave like that? What's making you tick? Who are you talking to? How are you behaving? Who are you? And I get to do that with work and with my work in underground forums is really almost people watch. So I find that quite enjoyable too.
That does sound great. And I imagine that no day is the same in your role. What does a kind of typical day look like for you in that position?
Yeah, so my role is split. As I said, it's between knowledge management and dark web. So knowledge management is about even grabbing indicators of interest, pulling them into our systems, and making sure we can trust them. We can add context. Do they make sense? Should we share this beyond? And then I focus on the publication side of that. But dark web and underground, I suppose in the same way that knowledge management can be, there's lots of different flavors, lots of different energies, and lots of different things going on. Particularly with the dark web and the underground forums that I'm in, I have my own personas. I'm in a very different selection of forums, so I can get lots of different experiences. So I can get lots of different energies, posts, offerings. And my focus is on data dumps, access brokerage, and emerging threats.
Okay.
So it's very different, lots of different personalities and personas.
Yeah, I can imagine.
Yeah, lots to learn, but it does take me down lots of different tunnels every single day.
Are there any sort of emerging threats that you're seeing right now that, are areas of concern or things you're keeping a closer eye on?
Um, so there's a couple I can probably talk to. So the first one is that threat actors are getting more and more fine-tuned and more comfortable with manipulating people. If I relate this to some of the research we've done, people love to feel safe and they love to feel secure. Threat actors are entirely aware of that. Threat groups know that. So even in terms of the way they're catching out victims, they're building in things like fake captures to give people that warm fuzzy when they go on a website that it must be secure and it must be safe because it's got a capture on the front of it. So they're getting more clever in how they manipulate and trick people. Another one I'll call out is obviously keyword is AI in that we know that we are using it and obviously we're using it for good. But if we're using it, then so are threat actors, whether that be to help them in designing really good phishing emails, whether that be to test out their code, help them write rules. They're getting comfy in that space, I think, in the same way we are, but we've got more of an ethical twist maybe on it than other users in those spaces do.
Do
And
you see?
sorry, go on.
No, I was jumping in because I'm just listening so intently and thinking, well, what effect does that have on people? Do you see that effect that it has on people every day?
Yeah, so in underground forums, there's a mixture of victims, and that can be organizations, but it can be people. And that is really hard. And I think that drives a lot of my passion in what I do for the wider community.
Yeah.
To people, it's the obvious things like financial loss, identity theft, damage to their digital footprints. But the worst thing of it all that impacts people, at least I think, is the psychological impact, where people are feeling they can't use the internet. They're afraid because of something that's happened, because they've clicked the wrong website, because they've not been cyber conscious, because they just didn't know. And I think that's one of the hardest parts of being a victim of a cybercrime.
That's incredibly tough. And actually, what you're saying is so similar to another guest I had on called Rory Inns, who runs the cyber
Oh,
helpline.
yeah,
And he was saying very similar things and was throwing statistics out there that they've been able to source and mirrored what you're saying about the psychological impact,
yeah.
people's mental health being affected by these sorts of things. It's frightening, really. Anybody can be a victim.
And that's it. Anyone can have an off day, whether that be that you burn the toast in the kitchen, or whether that be you open a malicious document in your emails because you're rushing around or you're multitasking. Anyone can be a victim. And I think that's where us as cyber industry, but also wider communities, government need to be doing so much more to make sure that there's really clear signposting, that people know they aren't alone and they know who to escalate to and who can help them. So folks like the cyber helpline, organisations like CyberAid, just knowing where to go can help.
Absolutely. In terms of your work outside of your day-to-day role, I know that you're currently working on something really exciting. I'd love for you to introduce it, tell us all about it, and where the concept came from for this.
Yeah, so this feels really bizarre talking about it. So I've written a book with my wonderful friend Amelia Hewitt. It's called Securely Yours: An Agony Aunt's Guide to Surviving Cyber. The book is was really driven, I think, a lot by our mentoring experiences and having people reach out with consistently similar questions, concerns, needing help, guidance. And so we took that and thought, you know what, let's make an accessible resource. Let's bring all this together. So you can pick up almost a handbook at any point in your career, flick to the bit that you're interested in or that can help you, get that snippet and go on and smash it. So that is where the book was born from. And yeah, it's finally happening.
Love the title of the book. And is this book for somebody that is working in cybersecurity, or can it be someone with a curiosity that wants answers to questions that perhaps they don't know where to get them from?
I think anyone can use the book. And actually, it's not a book that's designed specifically for women. It's a book for anyone. So allies as well. If you have women in your team, in your organization, and you want to help them thrive and survive in their cybersecurity careers, it could help you too. And we go through a real broad range of topics. So yeah, anyone right from the beginning through to really any part in their career and they're having a moment.
I think that's great. Can people get their hands on it?
Yeah, just on Amazon at the moment, but you never know. So please click, please go and have a look. And any questions, cyberagonyaunt.co.uk, where we're taking new questions.
Amazing. I love it. I hope that there's a part two already.
We're giving ourselves a little break, but you never know.
Oh, well, I always like to bring episodes to a close with a bit of a fun question.
Oh,
Um, and of course, cybersecurity is about staying ahead of the threats. But if you could have a superpower that could assist you in your work, what would it be and why?
well, that's really hard as a curveball question. Part of me would just love a button that I could press and it just applies cyber hygiene best practices to everyone around the world. So everyone is suddenly using MFA and it was really easy because then that would remove such a huge bulk of the threat. Or like, press this and everyone is patched and we can live another day. That kind of vibe. Um,
That
yeah, I think that's probably where I'd go. Something to make us just safer.
that a lot. We've not had that before. We've had some interesting ones, the keys to the Bank of England, which I think a lot of people
Oh
would enjoy.
gosh.
And yeah, no, but that's great. That's a really practical, tangible superpower. I like that one.
Yeah, yeah. A different way of keeping people safe.
Absolutely. Well, thank you so much for coming on today and sharing your journey with me, and your passion for this space is infectious. And for everybody listening, thank you for joining us. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and share this episode. And we will see you next time. Thank you so much, Rebecca.
Thank you.